Hi guys, how you doing? This is Madhvi from TaroticallySpeaking.com and elearntarot.com, and today, continuing our Decan Walk journey, I am going to talk about the Eight of Swords, which is associated with the combination Jupiter in Gemini. Okay, so we are basically, yes, we are in the sign of Gemini. This is Gemini time that we are going through, and this is basically this decan that we are looking at. This 10-day period is from the 21st of May to the 30th of May. Okay, so let's start right away with the decan. Right, this 10-day period, or these 10 degrees really are the first 10 degrees of the sign of Gemini. So this is the first decan of Gemini from 21st May to 30th May. And the description for this decan, according to the Picatrix book, is a beautiful woman experienced in dressmaking with two calves and two horses, right? So this is a time when they didn't have, these sewing machines and such, probably, most likely, right? So if she's experienced in dressmaking, that means she's dealing with, something that's very intricate, that requires her to be very nimble with her fingers and with her vision also. Some, like you have to be very, you need to know, you need to have these very tiny stitches. It's hard work, trust me. And so she's beautiful and capable and all of that, and she has these calves and horses. Horses are, I would say, for traveling. Calves, I guess, cows, calves, they do bring milk, and people eat them at some point. So there is some connection there, I would say, right? The keywords that came with it were recording and accountability, giving and taking, and knowledge itself. The knowledge part I get, yeah, because again, she's very capable with very intricate tasks. So that is the vibe of this particular decan. Okay. Now, if you look at the card from the Telos Tarot, Eight of Swords, we see the description that that comes with the book is that all these rivers, if you see, they are branching out and branching out, like they're splitting endlessly. She's driving this chariot. The horses are coming, but then they are facing this these swords blocking her path. That's the whole Eight of Swords energy, and the keyword being interference. That's pretty clear, right? But we also see these little rivulets sort of branching endlessly. So what that is to show is that there are so many different choices, right? And she has to really very cleverly sort of manage it. You can also see that she's wearing a blindfold, and she's got these wings on her head, kind of similar to the mercurial wings. Again, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, so that connection is kind of coming up here. Okay. So we see cleverness, dexterity, arts and crafts, writing, numbers, all of this happens. And then too many choices create decision paralysis, indecision, and snags. So, the vibe is very interesting, because we do see this cleverness and dexterity. It comes over here as well, right? With her ability for dressmaking and arts and crafts, and that, and numbers, right? Like, she needs to be smart to be able to do that. And but also this, this indecision, this indecision paralysis, or indecision, all of it, both together, because there's way too many choices. So that's the vibe of this decan. Okay. Woo, that's Gemini, right? Like, so, but yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about first the planet, which is Jupiter. The card from the Star Codes Astro Oracle has this beautiful picture of Jupiter, and we also see all these fruits, and this is the keyword being abundance, right? Jupiter is associated with the element of fire, and it rules Sagittarius and Pisces. Okay, so Jupiter talks about our worldview, right? How we expand our world, how we learn, how we study. It's about our, understanding, our philosophy, how we travel, how we experience and create abundance in our life. It's about all things where we have to expand, whether it's our perspective, whether it's our vision, whether it's our knowledge, whether whatever it is that needs to be expanded, right? Jupiter is about trusting life, and in this way we also discover deep truths, and understand, we have like this personal meaning of life. Anything that is big and grand, that is expansive, that is also, all about forgiveness. It's positive, optimistic, it's generous and helpful. Jupiter has a very sort of spacious energy. Now, the thing is, Jupiter is a gas planet, and I totally understand this whole expansion vibe, right? Jupiter brings that. Wherever in your chart you have Jupiter, you will see things coming in, and expanding. There's abundance of everything, right? So depends now which area of your life Jupiter falls in your chart, but wherever it does, it, I mean, most systems of astrology do consider Jupiter to be a benefic, right, as opposed to a malefic. So a benefic is supposed to give obviously good results, and malefics won't be that way. So, Saturn, for instance, the planet we looked at last time, is considered a malefic, whereas Jupiter is considered as a benefic. So, that's the whole vibe. But I personally, if you ask me, all planets have their pros and cons. Okay, that's how I see it. But yeah, let's look at Jupiter here. It's about, the things that you are curious about, different perspectives. It's about higher understanding and wisdom, ideals, values. So a lot of times it's associated with growth, prosperity, fortune, opportunities, education and study. The fields could be publication, broadcasting, religion, philosophy, ethics. So it's like all, these higher level stuff where, there's a lot of that philosophical angle, I think, with Jupiter, where because you have to really get into it and understand the whole uh, philosophy behind it. It makes you think in a different way. But again, because of the way Jupiter tracks all this, right? It can, it receives a lot of attention, so it can take away from other people's attention, right? So if you have someone, like say a group of people, and someone has a very strong Jupiter, so they keep attracting the attention, even when maybe it's not their day, but the Jupiter will make it happen like that. It can get overwhelming for some people. It can become extra positive. Again, not always a good idea in depending on situations, and it's given to excess. And this is again another thing, right? Like if this is something someone told me and it stuck in my head. A lot of times, especially with your precious stones or semi-precious stones, people usually like to wear yellow sapphire or a citrine or any kind of yellow stone associated with Jupiter to bring or invite Jupiter energy into their lives, which is all very nice. But let's say you're trying to lose weight. Jupiter is not going to help you there, because Jupiter is about expansion. So this is what I tried. This really sort of honed it in for me, like drove the nail into my head for me, because that made sense, right? Like a lot of us are constantly suffering with, or struggling with weight gain, weight loss issues, and well, if Jupiter is there, you're gonna you might not necessarily, because it's expanding, it's not going to contract. Yeah, makes sense. So this is what I try to say. Sometimes, good things depends where they are, right? In which area of life these good vibes show up. But yeah, that's your Jupiter. Jupiter is again all about the higher, deeper knowledge stuff, the understanding, the philosophy, the positivity, and travel, like broadening your vision, broadening your perspectives, broadening your understanding of various things. Okay. Jupiter is that planet. Okay. Now, of course, we have a little bit of mythology. This time we're looking at Roman mythology because Jupiter, the name Jupiter comes from the Roman mythology. Again, the story that we see again, yeah, when if you download the PDF, this will be clickable, and this will take you to a site where you have this chart, and again, if you can see, they have they'll have like you can break it down and open bigger portions of it to see deep dive into the story. But it's kind of the same story that we saw with with Saturn. Saturn's here, right? So that's why I said same, but different. So, but this is Roman mythology. So, but some names are pretty the same. So we have Uranus and okay, hang on, wait a second. I made another slide, right? Because this is a big photo screenshot. So I took bits of it. So here we have the same story that we saw with Saturn. We have Uranus or Uranus, and we have here she's Gaia is called Tellus, right, or Earth, and so they get together right here, and we have the Titans happen. Here's Saturn and Ops, right? So which was what Cronus and Rhea, right? So and yeah, you have all these guys, and then Themis, and all So first we have Saturn, which is our hero. Same story, Uranus devoured the children, and so then Saturn, Cronus comes, and see the same thing. The castrated genitals cast into the sea. We have Venus, and then Tellus impregnated by the blood. We have the Furies. So yeah, we have Saturn, and then Saturn then has kids with Ops, and so we have Vesta, Ceres, Juno. This is what Pluto, Neptune, and Jupiter or Jove, right? And then the same chart, but now Jupiter story we get to see. Jupiter again, of course, has a bunch of other women, right? The main, I think his wife is Juno, or Metis was his first one. Nevertheless, we have Jupiter. So Jupiter is essentially Zeus from the Greek mythology. Got it? Same, but different. So we have that, and then we have all this happening. So Ceres would be your Demeter, and Proserpina is your Persephone, right? And Juno would be, I guess, Hera, and look, Mars is the son of Jupiter here. Mercury is also the son of Jupiter here. So just so you know, we have planets and their children over here. So yeah, but this is the mythology. This is the same basic story of the same, like with Saturn, but here Jupiter does not, I guess, eat his children. But he has a bunch of them with a bunch of ladies, and yeah, his wife was not happy, and that is another whole number of set of stories there, right? A lot of the mythology. So again, Roman and Greek mythology were, I guess, different, and there are some changes, I suppose there could be. But what happened was, as the Roman kingdom came and sort of took over different parts of the world, these gods and goddesses often got merged into each other, right? So Mercury is also Hermes, right, from the Roman side. So then you have them merging together. That is what happens, okay? And that is constantly what keeps happening. And I think eventually they even merged the Egyptian goddesses into this, gods and goddesses into this. So we have a whole lot going on. Thoth, I think, got merged with Mercury. So it's that's how it works. That's how it works. Some stories, yes, they merge. Some probably don't. But more or less, we have this, right? That's the story. The myth here with Jupiter really is, I guess, the expansion is like he really spread his seed around. I mean, there's no nicer way to say it, but that's what he did. He had a bunch of kids with a bunch of ladies. That was his expansion. That was his, and again, not, some of them were, I guess goddesses, and some were regular people, also mortals. So he wasn't like, he was an equal opportunity. Uh, I don't want to say the words, but that's what he did. And he just like, if I like someone, boom, I'm gonna go be with that lady. So that's what he was. I guess, I guess the father issues here were different, and how they got expressed was different. Whereas with Jupiter, they got expressed a little differently, way differently. But yeah, at least he didn't eat his children, so there's small mercy in that. Hmm? So that is the whole vibe of Jupiter. Spread the love, spread everything. Sorry. I'm sorry. I gotta be respectful and nice and stuff. And I am, but it's like, it's a little difficult when you see what you see. Anyhow, so let's come to our tarot cards, because that's what we are, bringing all this knowledge to, right? So this is the expansive, big picture understanding, philosophical perceptions, and what have you of Jupiter. How does that get reflected in our card, in the Wheel of Fortune card, which is associated with the planet Jupiter? So, if you see all across the board, we have a lot of similarities. There is a wheel, right? There is a wheel. There's creatures around the wheel, right? You see someone's going up, someone's going down, and then someone's sitting here on the top, and that is a common feature of all these wheels. You have creatures going down and up, and up and down, and then there's someone sitting here. A very interesting perspective here that I see when I see this is that every action and reaction is, very circularly connected with each other, cause and effect, but it's cyclical. So cause, effect, but that effect now becomes a cause for another effect, which again becomes the cause for another effect, and so on. The cycle keeps happening, the wheel keeps turning. And then we have someone always sitting here on the top, kind of, ruling, right? So we have that cycle keeps going round and round. Okay. In our Rider-Waite-Smith, we also see these symbols here. These are the symbols for the different elements. I believe this is sulfur, salt, mercury, and water, I think. And yeah, and then you have these Hebrew letters saying Yahweh, and then we have the word tarot there. So essentially, what they're saying is all the elements, or the name of God, right, and the tarot, they're all intertwined, and it's like circularly everything is moving up and down. We have these, these are your four fixed signs, yeah. So Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio, and we have them, holding these Akashic books of records. So there's this whole karma element that comes in. All your deeds are recorded, and accordingly you will be rewarded. So we have karma, we have the cycles of life, we have luck and fortune. We are looking at how you get the benefits of your good deeds, and you sow the seeds for the future. So cause and effect, everything is cyclical. Jupiter, right, as I said, it's a benefic, so whatever it gives expansively. So we can see that. But now this card also tells you the framework behind, the giving of Jupiter, is that, your good deeds will bring you good results. Your bad deeds will, well, bring you bad results. The wheel keeps turning, and so on. And as I said, the cause becomes the effect becomes the cause, and the wheel keeps turning. The person sitting here on top, I guess, symbolically represents the balance between the two. And that is probably what you should strive. That's the spot you should be at not I'm not saying be at the top, I'm saying be balanced, right? So when the good comes, be balanced about it. When the bad times come, be balanced about it. That is what I think the message is. Even the number 10, that is about, the cycle changing, right? You see that same energy here. We have, like I think these are ape-like creatures here, right? Like that's again a very interesting thing. We see similar creatures. This is Set and Anubis, and I think we have something similar here as well. Yeah, so we have the ups and downs of life. Even in the Marse tarot, we see like the wheel is standing on this stand thing, and this it's turning. We have the ups and downs of life, rise and fall, change in circumstances. So I think here, by depicting the Jupiter energy as a wheel that goes up and down, they are also in the tarot. One is emphasizing that sometimes Jupiter cannot always be good. Sometimes it can go the other way. Oh, yeah, I like that. I can appreciate that because yeah, it happens, right? So there's another one, arbitrary fortune. It can happen. It may not happen. There's cycles of change, seasons, cycles of time, cyclical loops. So all the cycles, changes, shifts, fateful events, destiny, karma, finding one's calling, right? So in the thought, I think these stars are like heavenly signs of hope, and these lightning bolts represent the divine forces, right? That can be good or bad, depending on, I guess, how the wheel is placed, positively or not. We see similar lightning bolts here as well. Yeah, and this apes are what the ape-headed Hermanubis. I'm looking at the meaning here, and it's striving upward. It's constructive, creative development, and then we have the Sphinx with the sword, which is creation, wholeness, and existence. And then the crocodile headed Typhon, who's going down, is annihilating, destructive, and decay. Nice. So, yeah, I mean, even the Telos Tarot, we see that same vibe. And yeah, fortune, right? Fortune, again, good and bad. It's the wheel, it turns. So when I get this card in a reading for anybody, I keep telling them, if it's upright, I'm like, hey, look, it's good time, make hay while the sun shines, but also be ready. This is a wheel, it's gonna turn. And when it turns, so whatever, in your good time, don't let it get to your head and do something crazy. I mean, do good. Sow the seeds for the future in a positive way. Because then when the rewards come, you'll reap them, right? And then maybe it won't be reverse for a long time. So yeah, that's Jupiter. So I do see that. I do see both the positive and the negative shades of Jupiter coming through with that wheel energy as it's there. I see the expansion, the cyclical aspect, though. Interestingly, when we looked at the meaning of Jupiter, I didn't see that, but I do see that the cycle could then help us with the wheel. Seeing both sides of Jupiter there. So that's how I'm seeing it. What do you think? All right, so let's move forward from here because otherwise we'll keep going round and round. My goodness, I couldn't resist that. Okay, let's look at the sign. Gemini. Ooh. So Gemini. Gemini is all about the twins, right? It's always two. Gemini twins, right? That's the story. We'll talk about that in the next one. Next card. So yeah, because here the word cross pollinate, and we have two flowers, and we have bees going pollinating them. So that's interesting, right? Like you always need to pollinate. Gemini is an air sign, and it is ruled by Mercury, right? So it's about connections because when you have two, they connect, they network. There's brotherhood, there's community, it's communication, right? Mercury, humor, words, because it's an air sign. So words, dialogue, conversation, the expression, information, analysis or analytical, right? Grapevine, gossip, talkative, right? Gemini, my goodness, if you've ever, spent time with someone with a good Gemini energy, you will have so much information about so many things. They're intelligent and adaptable. They are very mentally agile, versatile. But again, opposites as the division of unity, right? So they will, what my experience with Gemini people have been is that they can look at both sides of a situation, and they can even talk from both the sides. So they'll be like one day saying pro something, other side, other day they'll be against it. And they're very unpredictable, right? Obviously. So that's a very interesting vibe with Gemini, but again, it's also good for because their ability to see two sides, both the sides, is again very interesting. However, on the shadow side or the negative side, they can be very shallow, uh, oversimplification of things. They can be inconsistent. They can be exaggerated or fickle, superficial, deceptive, and cunning, right? There's a lack of individuality because, when you spend your life talking from both sides, who are you? What's your position? They themselves don't know. That is probably their journey, right? They keep doubting. They keep asking too many questions, and sometimes they can become cynical. So, Gemini again is everything will have two sides, and they will probably be flitting between both the sides. And there, because it's an air sign, there's that communicative energy there. There's that conversation, gossip, expression, all that happening in Gemini. And it can be good when you want to see perspectives, right? But sometimes it can just go nuts. Okay, so let's see how that shows up in our tarot cards. Here, the sign of Gemini is associated with the lovers, which again, a very interesting choice. And this card has a very interesting journey for me personally because, at first blush, when you look at the lovers, when you start learning tarot, it's like, oh, lovers, it's about, love, it's about relationships. It's like, oh, I'm going to find someone, I'm going to meet someone, or I'm going to be in this loving relationship. Sure, why not? But then as time goes by, you start to discover more aspects to this card. This in the Rider-Waite, this is talking about the Adam and Eve story, but here we see a different vision of it. It's like after the eating of the apple, they are still in that garden. So the and they're still naked, which is again the interesting part because here nudity is an expression of, I have nothing to hide, right? So here I am in my whole nude glory. I have nothing to hide. So that is the whole vibe here. And because again, man and woman, two different perspectives, this is where this duality is probably the best expression of that duality of Gemini in the Lovers card is seen in when you see these two characters, man and woman, juxtaposed against each other. So we have different perspectives, different way of looking at things, and so on and so forth. We have this angel blessing them, right? So we have all this energy coming in. The number associated is also 6, which is the number of harmony, right? Which is kind of the goal, you could say, between these two different perspectives, sort of harmonizing. Hmm? From a very psychology perspective, you can look at this and be like, oh, anima, animus, right? Like there's different ways, different shades of this card it unfolds, right? So yes, while the Lovers card can talk about the romantic relationship, sexual awakening, and favorable energies, union of male and female, but then it also talks about creating those connections, interpersonal relationship dynamics, right? You see that, you start to see those shades. So yeah, while Lovers in the reading, I suppose, could be talking about relationships, but we are also talking relationship dynamics. It's talking about all kinds of relationships where maybe you have different perspectives where you need to find the harmony. You need to find a way to connect that way, right? Mm, in the Marseille Tarot, there's a different shade here. We have a young man, we have an older woman and a younger woman, and then we have Cupid, like, hey, I'm going to shoot this arrow. So what's happening is here, this young man is at a point in his life where he has to choose. He has to, leave the protective embrace of his mother and go uh, be with his wife, right? That's a choice at any person's life. Now, again, this can be the past, this is the future, this can be the protective spaces or any one's. So I guess in when you analyze this image, you can see that the person is having to make a choice between the past and the future. And although he does, like, look at how he looks at this, right? He does feel that pull. She's also be like, dude, here. She's pulling at him too. So we see this push and pull between the past and the future. And that's the two opposing sides of the timeline. It's like, oh, past, present, future. And there's the choice. This, boom, this guy's want to shoot the arrow, is like, oops, you gotta go here, right? So yeah, there is romantic relationships and everything, but here's the past versus future, the choice to disengage from the past and move to the future, desire versus reason. So again, there's duality and you have to choose. The choice angle is very clearly expressed here, right? In your thought tarot, right? We have a couple, a man and a woman, and we also have these two children here, right? There's a color difference, white and black, to probably indicate opposing energies, right? And so that's what's happening. We also have the Cupid. We also have this sort of hooded figure with hands sort of blessing them. So they are getting married, and then we have these children. So according to the book, the couple represents the conscious masculine and the conscious feminine. So they are consciously making that choice here to unite. And these little children, they represent the uh, inner conscious, or the unconscious masculinity and the unconscious femininity. And so they are trying to combine. So as these combine, these also combine. So their inner and outer worlds, conscious and unconscious, are combining here in this whole ritual, right? This egg with that snake is the secret of life, the beginning of the great work. We also have, I think, oh yeah, Lilith and Eve. I don't know which one's which, but the dark and light aspects of femininity. And this is the Dome of Swords. Ooh, right? It is an air card. So we have analysis and clear decisions. So all this is happening. We also have this, fire. So essentially, the union of opposites in a certain way, like very broadly, this is the union of opposites. Oh yeah, outward and inward. Oh, I didn't get. We have love, we have devotion, we have all this, but it is again duality combining, and finding the path forward, starting the creation of whatever it is they want to create. This one is quite intriguing too, right? According to the book, we see here the prophet in the sign of Osiris risen, inspired by Apollo to prophesy things sacred and profane. Okay, sacred is obviously, sacred, and profane is that which is not sacred. How funny. I mean, I was looking at the dictionary meaning, but it's essentially worldly things. So sacred could be religious, and profane could be, which doesn't fall within the bounds of anything religious. So now we have two boys with the bows, and one of them is with a priestess, and one of them is with a harlot, right? So sacred and profane. So here we do see this duality, right? And we see this, because prophecy or whatever inspired by Apollo is happening. So we do see that some kind of insight is revealed, some kind of, understanding is revealed again between two opposing expressions of the feminine energy, And so we have analysis and synthesis, division and recombination, binaries, polarities, opposites, complements, making a choice, sacrificing other options, a vowel from heart and mind. So again, long and short of it is, with the lovers card, in different ways, different cards try to show the two polarities, two opposite ends, two perspectives that Gemini is all about, and they try to show the harmonizing of it, or the unity of it, and even the division of it. They are different, but they combine. Hmm? That is the energy of Gemini happening in the lovers card. Okay, so what happens when Jupiter is in Gemini? This is the card from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. The keyword here is bluff. Okay. Jupiter in the booklet that comes with it, Jupiter is associated with gain, Gemini with mental awareness, and the astrology. Remember the exaltation, detriment, and whatnot. We saw that in the previous card. So Jupiter here is in detriment. Okay, so Jupiter is not going to be happy here in Gemini. Jupiter doesn't like it because if you see, Jupiter is all about expansive understanding of things and perspectives and philosophy and following the right path, and doing the good things. Whereas Gemini is all about, duality and different perspectives and, opposing polarities of everything. So it's difficult for Jupiter, I guess, to find his sort of middle path where Gemini is flitting about and, this side, that side, this side, that side. So that is how I see it. Now the booklet said here the keyword being bluff, right? And you can see the little duality here. We see one hand opened up, one hand turned down. We have the duality in various ways expressed here. So we see it's all about keeping the mind active and informed, right? So here I think they are trying to say, like, this is how you could perhaps use this energy in a good way. You use this different perspectives, this energy of different perspectives, and learn about both those perspectives. It's about intellectual curiosity. It's about consistent, continuous mental development. It is knowledgeable without formal education, right? So these are people who are very self-taught, who read a lot, who learn a lot from here, there, everywhere, and know about different things. This is talented, which is self-taught person who's very talented. They love to travel to different places, opposing energies, right? Social relationships, and again, their relationships. This energy of Jupiter and Gemini, the social relationships will be across the board. It's not just one kind of people; it's all kinds. They have a good analysis of current thought trends. Jupiter in Gemini is also socially and politically very perceptive, quick wit, yes. But again, on the other end, we have someone who can be a know-it-all, right? Jupiter comes and says, "Oh, I know everything." They can bluff their way through any situation, and that's the keyword here. Makes sense. All that knowledge comes in handy with the Gemini energy. They have a very restless, hyperactive mind. They can really have that sort of mental, verbal sleight of hand, right? Like they can really manipulative vibes here, big time, right? They can be doubting, skeptical, cynical, superficial, contradictory, and overall just dissatisfied with life. Because, right, as I said, Gemini is, all over the place from Jupiter's perspective. And Jupiter is trying to find the balance, the correct, the good way to do it. Well, Gemini is like, why? So they don't really gel well, do they? That energy can be used positively, but well, it depends, right? Jupiter essentially astrologically is in detriment here. So Jupiter really, as much as it wants to, it cannot completely be itself wholly, completely in this sign of Gemini. Okay. So that's how this is coming up here. The number, yeah, for our card, Eight of Swords, 8 is an again very interesting number. um, Different people see it differently. I see 8 as, two. Even the symbol is very interesting. It's like the infinity symbol, so there's always change and transformation. You're always evolving in that sense. 8 can talk about consolidation and accomplishment, and finding, like, creating benchmarks, and then, going to the next one. Re-evaluation and refinement, change, transformation, shift in direction and movement. This can bring success, material power. 8 is a very ambitious energy. But again, we have 8 is about law, balance, tolerance, and dharma. Dharma, which is what needs to be done, the right things that you need to do the right thing, and the unconscious mind. And again, 8 can be very self destructive as well. So, this is the energy of 8. It's about change and transformation and reevaluating everything as it transforms, right? And trying to find the balance and do the right thing. Okay. So, wow, let's come here to our tarot cards. Jupiter and Gemini, 8 of Swords. This is what we're here about. Wow. So, what happens with that Jupiter and Gemini energy and then this 8 of Swords? Do we see that energy show up here? Okay. Now, 8 is again change, transformation, Swords about thoughts, right? Ideas, the mind. So the Gemini energy is here, good. And I guess with Jupiter, it's expansive. So we have 8 swords, not just 1 or 2. Now, in the Rider-Waite image, we have these 8 swords. We have this lady with her hands tied and with the blindfold, and she's like, "Oh my God!" You do see the water here, and she is stuck. I like to call this the self-imposed limitations. It's about where, you're negative. Again, I'm saying this is negative self-talk because, again, her hands are tied, her eyes have, blindfolded. So that's why negative, right? But it's where, these swords could represent thought patterns that have repeated over and over and over, and now you are stuck in that space. So the transformation of 8 is not moving as it should. The change has to happen, but it's not naturally going to happen. You'll have to really push yourself to make it happen, right? So these are beliefs that keep you stuck. So with the Jupiter in Gemini energy, where Gemini is like going all over and Jupiter is trying to do the right thing and find the right balance and still learn and keep an open mind and so forth. Here, 8 of Swords is unable to, that create that open-minded energy of Gemini or Jupiter for that matter. Like, and she now is stuck in that, I guess the expansion could be the expansion of her negativity, or the negative patterns, and she needs to break through that. That's how I'm seeing it show up. Here in the Marseille Tarot, this is more organized, right? Like you have these swords nicely, neatly organized, neatly crisscrossing. We have these little buds forming, so there could be hope. And then we have this flower here. It's not completely, like, fully able to grow and bloom because, the swords keep coming at it, but it has some space. So there's a limited sort of growth energy here. There is lots of layers of protection. So we have a defensive attitude. We have that mental or psychological defense, the need for control. It's safe, but also isolated, right? So we do see the opposing energy of Gemini here in a way, but we also see that Jupiter in detriment, because then this growth is, which is Jupiter, is not happening. There's potential, sure, but again, these are just buds. This is restricted because of all these swords coming at it. That Jupiter is in detriment. It can't grow as big as it wants to. Nice. Okay. Ah, look at this. Like the keyword here is interference with the thoughts. And we definitely see all kinds of swords. That's the Gemini energy, right? Like the variety that comes from Gemini. We also see two swords, different, the hilts are turned around, the opposing energy here. But then these different swords, that's the variety that Gemini likes. And again, Jupiter could also come in and say, oh, let me see, different swords, different purposes. There is that, sure. But so the plenty of swords come from multiple swords and the different purposes and uses. I guess that's your Jupiter. But then we have these two saying, wait a minute, we're gonna be similar and we're gonna figure it out. So the duality of Gemini. So here we see willpower breaks due to disruptive influences. Distractions hinder progress. Inner conflicts, self-doubt, plans, sabotage. Disagreement, right? Different swords, different ways, different thought patterns, different ways to handle it, different purposes, right? Like different ideas going in all different directions. Some swords point here, some swords are pointing there. So we do see different perspectives. We do see the duality. We do see multiple angles, multiple perspectives. We also see, opposing perspectives. So yeah, it is all about how our different perspectives create. I'm trying to relate it to the interference, the keyword. It's how different perspectives sometimes create an interference, because now you can't, when you have way too many perspectives, you can't make a decision, right? So we're looking at conflicts. And again, Jupiter bringing in the multiplicity of everything, points of view and perspectives and thoughts and patterns, right? And Gemini flitting between these, unable to decide. And thus we have interference, right? Interfering with every movement forward, because 8 wants the transformation to happen. The energy of 8 wants the change to happen. Energy of 8 wants to push past that, but it is finding itself stuck here in this spot. Oh, nice. I never saw it that. Hmm. And yeah, this is the Telos tarot card again. We've seen this before earlier when we saw the Decan. We see the Mercury reference. We see the blindfold. That's cute. And then yeah, we have the very the splitting of the little rivers, creating so many choices here. These rivulets are the choices and the options. And then here we are seeing way too much. Like Jupiter is bringing that abundance of choices, right? Too many choices, too many to decide. How will you know, right? That's your decision paralysis, which again creates indecision. And but you need to be super clever. That's your Gemini energy, or dexterity, again, quick with your learning, smart with your maths and writing and arts and crafts. So again, you need to use your wits to navigate this territory, right? Can be hard. Can be hard. Jupiter is in Gemini and it is in detriment. That makes sense. It makes sense now why Jupiter is in detriment in Gemini. The energy, nah, it does not vibe. But yeah, it does show up in slightly different ways actually in each of these systems, but it does show up. Isn't that cool? All right. So let's look at our supporting cast. And again, we have seen these guys before, so I'm not gonna dwell. We have the Ace of Pentacles, right? This is gonna be there, I think. Yeah, I think. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini. This is the last of the Pentacles, I guess. With Gemini, then we'll have another one, I think, Wands. But yeah, here we have the Ace of Pentacles bringing that grounding that is very necessary, the seed of that grounding, the material world, as it were, and the page sort of, young and fresh and ready to, do something with that Pentacles energy, saying, hey, let's start, let's figure this out, let's go slow and steady and learn, right? Now we have a king. And we saw the king last time too. Here the king comes in. I like this king because, whatever these energies, the stuck spaces, right, that was there from even from the previous Seven of Pentacles, and even here this Eight of Swords. I think what the kind of very strict, the very sharp, and the very sort of versatile, but at the same time very clear-headed, rational energy needed to push past that sort of stalemate, stuck energy is the king's energy. So I think we need this king's energy big time to push past the stuckness of that eight of swords as well. Okay, so let's put it all together. We have our eight of swords, we have the Decan, where it's talking about someone who is very smart, very sharp, very talented, and knowledgeable. We are looking at an energy where there's plenty, like Jupiter, bringing that expansive, knowledge based understanding and philosophical perspective where lots happen, and in the wheel we see that happen in a very cyclical manner, for good, for bad, all angles. And then Gemini's energy of duality and unity and also separateness and perspectives, different angles, different ways to look at things, right? The opposites, the union of opposites, all of that. And we see that reflected very nicely in the Lovers card. And when it all comes together, you can see, you can use this energy for good and evil. I would say, this card from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun says, well, you can use it to understand different perspectives and analyze different perspectives and trends in various spheres of life. But yeah, it can also be used for people to sort of, bluff their way through any situation. And then this you can even apply that, kind of sideways here, where you are bluffing to yourself. You're telling yourself a story and you're stuck in this spot, right? And here again, the opposing energies of I guess the Gemini is restricting the growth of the Jupiter, right? And again, the plentiful perspectives that come from the Jupiter, again, opposing, or stopping the movement forward. It's a stuck kind of growth, different perspectives, nevertheless, right? And so, yeah, we do see that. We do see that eight energy coming in, but, being stuck. And all of this supported by, the big earth vibe of the Ace and Page of Pentacles, and then the very sharp, decisive, rational, and strategically analytical, sort of controlling energy of the King of Swords. Yeah, it all comes together. So, let me know what you think. Let me know if you see another angle, another perspective, another way to kind of put this together. And let me know if this makes sense to you. Talk to me. And I hope that this has, because for me, it has, it has definitely, opened up a different way to look at this card's energy. And I hope I have been able to unlock something for you as well. But yeah, or if you have a different angle, different thought process, but just share it in the comments, man. I'm just like, this is exciting to me. Also, I will put a link to Valerie's blog because that is amazing. She has written a very, very interesting blog where she's like named each sword. I found that fascinating. You should totally read that. Okay, so I guess I have to wrap this up, right? So I will wrap this up, and I guess I will talk to you soon in my next video, which will be the Nine of Swords, Mars in Gemini, right? And that will be in a few days, I guess. Yeah. So I will talk to you then. Until then, stay good, be good, and play with your cards. Bye now.